In Minecraft, if you want to be scared, you have to go looking for something scary. To visit the fiery pit of the Nether, you have to build a portal between worlds and collect skulls to summon a three-headed spectral wraith. To visit the vast, arid wastes of the End, you have to slay a dragon. To visit the deep dark, you have to knowingly dig down far enough to disturb that which should not have been awoken. To face the creatures of the night, you must forsake the comfort of sleep. But for as long as the game has existed, the surface of the overworld has always been a refuge, a relative safe harbor from the most dangerous monsters and mobs that Minecraft has to offer. On your first night, you can burrow to shelter and safety in a 2-block hole, and a simple bed is enough to banish the phantoms that materialize on the plains every other night after that. Torches can illuminate the darkness, letting us know there's no monsters there and no reason to fear. And no matter how far you wander on the face of the overworld, and no matter what you face, you know that at the very least you will recognize the faces of the foes you fight. There is nothing that is unknown to you, and thus, though the overworld is still fraught with fear, there is nothing that can horrify you, for horror comes from the unknown. But all of that is about to change. Because in the coming updates to Minecraft, a new biome looms ahead like the fog on the horizon, intent on changing the comfort, stability, and safety of the status quo. A new biome that promises to be unnerving in a way that nothing in the overworld ever has before. The Pale Garden is coming, but what exactly makes this new addition to the game so odd? Well, perhaps it's better I show you rather than tell you. Close your eyes and picture this. You're walking through the woods beneath a verdant green canopy of dark oak. The forest floor is cool, damp, and shady, and even though you hear the all-too-familiar hiss of a creeper punctuating the silence every now and then, you know you have nothing to fear. And so, through the stalky mushroom stems and tree trunks you wind, perhaps you are here to gather wood, or you have departed in search of a woodland mansion, but whatever you set out looking for, you soon find yourself somewhere else instead. Presently, the sun is beginning to set, and you find that the forest is much deeper than you initially thought. And the deeper you journey into the trees, the more hopelessly warped the world around you becomes. The saturation is slowly seeping out of the world around you. The green of the grass, the blue of the sky, all of it slowly fading into muted tones of gray. It's like something has sucked the very life out of the world, and now the gnarled roots of towering trees have become a monochrome maze, a labyrinth of leaves and limbs ensnaring you on all sides. There is no escape. And then you hear it. A cacophony of cracking, a symphony of snaps and scrapes, of spindly limbs shifting slightly in the soil. The sound doesn't disturb you at first. After all, it's probably just a twig snapping, right? But then you realize that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly why it's horrifying, because in all your years of playing this game, you've never heard so much as a single solitary leaf rustle. So why now is the forest coming alive? Underfoot, moss and dense, matted down, decaying foliage crunches with every step. Ghostly vine-like tendrils reach down from the branches above like slender, bony fingers. Or are they reaching up from below? And all the while, the forest stirs. There are the groans and shudders of the trees, timber long left well enough alone in the peace of solitude. And you have disturbed their slumber. And the sound grows louder and louder until you realize the limbs of the trees are reaching for you, and the terrible symphony of unnatural dread and dead wood has taken form and manifested before you in the shape of a nightmare incarnate, a sound given flesh. Its name is the noise it makes, the creaking, and it stands before you, unmoving. If it stands still enough, you might even trick yourself into thinking it has disappeared. back behind the trunks of the trees, blending into the forest that had been summoned from by the beating of a pulsating heart in your ears. If it stands still enough, you can convince yourself its burning gaze is just a trick of the light, that there is nothing there, only the forest, and in a sense, that is true. But the second you tilt your head, the second you turn away, avert your gaze, close your eyes, blink, you will find that the trees have shifted when you weren't looking. The forest has moved when your eyes were closed, and now the creaking is getting closer. There is nothing in Minecraft even remotely analogous to the creaking. Maybe the warden, but the dweller of the deep would never dare to call the surface its home. No other mob has ever twisted the overworld, corrupted it in this way, taking the ordinary and mundane force we find so familiar and shifting them into something else entirely. They are, to us, almost like creatures from another world, and yet, as far as we know, they have been here all along. We are the interlopers, the ones who disturbed their forests. What would the ancient builders of yore have thought if they encountered the waking woods? What would they have done had they heard the call of the creaking? The lonely oaks, they used to be called. No one quite knows where they came from, but they're as old as this universe itself, or very nearly, and they have survived this long because their home has the most perfect defense system ever evolved. Because they are their home. They are of the beating heart of the tree, and if you wander the woods under the light of a gray and merciful dawn, though the timbers may rattle, you may yet escape with your life. But the deeper you go, the more the path twists and turns, blocking you from leaving, until the very trees you felled by the blade of your own axe begin to shift and stir, awakening in the lengthening shadows of dusk. And then the trees are alive, and you hear their roots and fibers scuttling around you, scraping against the gray ground. You can't kill a tree. Not really, not like you can kill a man or a monster. You can only chop it down, and pray new saplings do not take root. Of course, the tree can't kill you either. But then you turn your head away, then you blink, and oh, yes it can. These are their forests. They are not kind. You are their meat. In the deep dark, the ancient cities lay crippled and in ruins, the stone of their foundations consumed by the spreading of the skulk. The living rot glistens in the dark, a lifeless city of stars shimmering in the deep dank below. And through the cavern halls, the ululating, warbled roar of the warden echoes, the ruler of this death and decay. But the floors of the city are lined with carpets, their laboratories insulated with wool, their technology assigned that they had learned to withstand the warden that claimed the caves as its own after they escaped its chilling clutches. And we can take comfort in knowing that this threat was repelled once before by the ancient builders. In the nether, the bastions are battered and desolate, raided and ruined, the mighty brutes a shell of their former selves. The proud piglins, a fearsome species of realm-raiding warriors once clad in pure netherite, have been safely sealed away within the infernal wastes of the fiery below, their portals shattered to prevent them from ever returning to the overworld and restoring their former glory, preventing them from rediscovering the technology forgotten through the ages that would once more transform them into Minecraft's strongest mob. But those days have passed now, and this threat, too, was repelled once before by the ancient builders. And we take comfort in that. But there is no sign of life in the Pale Garden. There are no structures here, or hints of that which came before, no comfort to be found, because nothing came before, not in this place. There has only ever been the trees, and the garden must remain pure. It must remain clean. Nothing can settle here, nothing can survive. For the trees are protective of their native soil, and those that stray too long will be swiftly and solemnly interred within it. This place seems alive upon first glance, but it is a gray void. This is a forest of death, and every tree trunk grows over a tomb. The Pale Garden is an entirely alien concept to Minecraft. There is nothing familiar here, nothing we can comprehend or reason with, and that, to me, is the true horror of the Pale Garden. because there's no sign of life in these towering timbers, no signs of life save for the rustling of the leaves and the groaning of the waking woods. There is only the creaking, and the creaking grows ever closer. So the next time you find yourself wandering amidst the blocky woods, and the color is leached out of life all around you right before your very eyes, take heed of these words. Listen, for your life could depend on this. Don't blink. Don't even blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast. Faster than you can believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. I'm Frostbyte Freeman, and until next time, stay frosty.